Thank you so much for joining me today. The Christmas Carol officially opened just before Thanksgiving. So how's the experience been so far?
Well, thanks for having me, Brian. The experience has been wonderful so far. It's been a little different. This is my 12th year doing the show. And
Okay.
so all the previous 11 years have been with Terry Carpenter as director. And I've worked on a number of other shows with Travis as a director, but never with Travis on Christmas Carol. And so it was refreshing. It was really cool. I think we added he added just minor tweaks of certain scenes and stuff like that was really fun to go through and explore. And the cool thing about Travis is he just lets you play. He lets you play and he has the final say.
Okay.
And so, if he says no, then it's no, but you get to try things. You get to play. So they're real cool about that up there. And it was just a wonderful experience with Travis and with the rest of the cast. The cast is great, I think, including the kids.
I mean, it's a big cast too. There's so many people on stage.
It is a pretty big cast and a lot to coordinate in 3 weeks' time before you open and stuff like that. So, yeah,
I don't know I don't know how you guys do it in 3 weeks. That's like not enough time.
it was, it all seemed to work. It all seemed to work.
With Travis taking over, what do you feel like? You said some of those things kind of changed. What was like the biggest change, having worked on it for so many years, for you as an actor?
Conversations that he would ask wonderful questions. He would ask wonderful questions. What about this moment? What's happening here and everything? And just get you thinking about, okay, yeah, at this moment, this is happening. He's discovering something here. He's working things out. He's finding an answer or whatever the answer is. We're analyzing moments that wind up showing up in the ultimate fabric of the show.
That's awesome. So like a deeper exploration, a different exploration of these characters.
Right. One of the things we talked about, he said, he can't just be mean. Scrooge just can't be mean.
Mm-hmm.
He's got to have a reason.
Sure.
There's got to be what motivates that meanness. And so we talked about it. We talked about when you start to realize, that then you begin to shape the arc, because the cool thing about Scrooge, and this is the thing that I love about it, and that's why I include it in a bucket list. The bucket list roles to do. The arc that he makes from being absolute crap weasel at the beginning of the show to whistling rainbows at the end, just being the full 180,
Mm-hmm.
180, where you just go from bad energy to good energy. And
absolutely,
the little steps that it takes to do that has been a great challenge and a wonderful journey. So,
speaking of Scrooge, this is your first year getting to play the role. What is that like, stepping into such an iconic role? I mean, this is a role that everybody in that theater knows.
Yeah, it is. Bah humbug is an iconic line. It's just it's a money line. And so I got a good story about that money line for a minute. But I stepped in for Tom, I think for 3 shows last season.
Okay.
And I think I did it for 1 or 2 the season before. So I had gotten a taste of it. I understudied it all 11 years. But honestly, I don't think it was until like the 3rd year that I was out of book for the understudy rehearsal that they have. And it's because you give you like one day each year. And so it took a while for me to digest the breadth of it.
Mm-hmm.
But it was so I got a little taste of it
Sure.
last year. And honestly, it was a little hard to go back to what I was doing before.
Okay.
After a few runs at it last year, it was like, wow, this is so cool. This
Sure.
is so much fun. Being a mean, nasty person is
Mm-hmm.
actually very enjoyable. There's something cathartic about it. You can
Okay.
work out all of your daily demons through the lines and get out all your pent up aggressions and everything. And then
Mm-hmm.
you make the 180, and by the end of the play, you're the life of the party. Can't wait to go and hear stories about your dog and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. It's just like generous giving, total positive energy.
I was gonna say, having seen it last year for the first, I think it was my first time seeing it. I might have seen it a few years before, and then to this year, I was like, I don't remember Scrooge being so funny. Like through the whole show, he has like this like dark humor, and then it kind of shifts towards that lighter humor. But I was like, I don't remember Scrooge being so funny, and I thought that was a fantastic take on the character.
Well, I think that's one of the redeeming things about it, that you find out that he is fun to be with.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a total jerk.
Right.
He's not going to yell you out of his office now. He's telling a joke, and he's pretty good at it.
Absolutely. So with this being a show that's been around for like over 4 decades, I think they said 42 years, correct?
Yeah, this is the 42nd year.
Is there pressure to that? Like putting on a show that like people who were children who are now adults have probably come to see every single year?
I never felt it. I
Okay.
never felt it, because here's the thing. After 42 years, you work up a schedule. You have everything tracked so that this actor that you hire will do this part, this part, this part, and this part, and then be Christmas future, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they have tracks for all these different slots,
Mm-hmm.
and it all fits. It's like
Okay.
a good jigsaw puzzle. It all fits, and everybody does their track, and it all works out. Now,
Okay.
so it's not year in and year out. It's something that's not too darn broken, right? They've got it down to a science. They know how to do it, and they know
Mm-hmm.
that they've got the same adaptation that Charles Nolte wrote, and
Sure.
they stick to it, and so they know what they're putting out there. Year by year, there's going to be some different hirings and everything, so that we didn't get this person that we had last year for Christmas past or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, and so now we're going to use this person. So there's new people to the cast,
Sure.
but that adds to the fun of it.
Sure.
And uh, and what we tried to do, Travis and I talked about it at the beginning of this, and we said, it's always been a good production.
Mm-hmm.
And Travis said, yeah. And we just want to raise the bar on that a little bit. And
Every year,
so,
you got to make something more special.
right, right. And so the tweakings that he did, have you seen it before this past week? When did you see it? This past weekend?
Yeah, I saw it on Friday.
On Friday? Okay. Had you seen it in previous years
Saw it last year.
at Meadow Brook?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So the scene in the second act where the four merchants are talking
Mm-hmm.
about the death of Scrooge,
Yes.
that used to be two merchants, Scrooge and two merchants, standing in a line facing the audience. They had umbrellas, but
Yes.
they just stood there and said their lines.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a little stagnant.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, okay, so here's five guys standing in the line.
Mm-hmm.
If you recreate these conversations as if they're happening on the sidewalks of London, then it becomes a bit more active.
Yes.
And so that was a little tweak that Travis thought was beneficial, and I totally agree with it, because it's more interesting to watch,
Mm-hmm.
And so little things like that, that I think help us raise the bar a little bit. And so now we giggle now. It's like, so what are we going to do next year?
Well,
How are we
next
going to
year you're
raise it?
actually going to
How are we
hire
going to raise it
ghosts.
again?
That's and I noticed that scene jumped out to me because I was like, it did feel different. It almost felt more bone chilling in a way, of just like, because he's sitting right there in the middle of all of them while they're having this conversation about him.
Yeah. Well, are you talking about the old Joe scene that's right after the merchants, or the merchants themselves?
The old Joe. Sorry.
The old Joe scene. Yeah. I really do learn a lot in that scene. Why am I here? So apparently somebody's died and stuff like that. But when the Undertaker comes out with that engagement ring, I sure recognize that, don't I?
Yes, you do.
So I know it's me. And then I see the bed curtains, and then I have an opinion on that. You people are awful.
And I love the work that you do, like, because a lot of it is just, one of the questions a little bit later I was going to say about Say It Now is that you have this interesting dynamic where you're like, you're in the whole show, but you don't interact with a lot of people. You're just kind of watching a lot of these things unfold, and you're doing all the work right here.
I noticed that during the second act of Sunday's show yesterday, after we had done like Friday night, 2 Saturday, and 2 Sunday, I thought, oh man, my back, I need to sit. When's that old Joe scene coming up? I need to sit.
Yeah, you're on from the moment you come on and until the end. You're there. I mean, the whole show is you.
Right. And that's cool. I'm from a family of 9. I'm the youngest of 9 kids. And so I was born with an audience there. And so I'm comfortable with it. It's fun. I'll tell you, when you wake up in the bed and you find that you're not destined to Marley's demise, it's pretty exhilarating. And it's emotional.
I could imagine that. I mean, it's kind of, I'm a therapist during my day job, and it's like a therapy session for Scrooge from beginning to end.
Oh, dude, totally. I get to laugh and cry in every show, and so it's just it's wonderful catharsis. It's wonderful therapy. When I get done with the show, I feel better than when I started the show. It's weird.
I mean, that's great though. What a time to feel light.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there anything specific you have to do to get into the mindset of Scrooge, like before you go on stage?
No, not really.
Okay.
I used to, I would watch Tom and see what he did before the show and everything. And I think in about 10 of, he would walk out onto the stage and go up into the bedroom and get ready for the show and do his preparations, his final preps and stuff like that. I don't know. Maybe it's just easy for me to tap into my mean side. I can turn it on without even trying.
I mean,
if I make a statement about me that might not be very complimentary, but
as I say, it just means you're a great actor. You just don't need a lot of time to prepare. You just are ready.
Right.
So the Christmas Carol has such an immersive set. It's probably one of the biggest I've seen at Meadow Brook. I've seen quite a few shows there now. Yeah. What's it like to act on something that is so intricate and immersive? I mean, does that make it easier? I would assume it does.
Well, it does. I mean, visually, I think it's a great set for the show, right? You got both side structures will unfold and storybook to create a setting of Fred's and the Cratchits.
Right.
And then you've got two areas, the bedroom and the office on one side of the middle structure, and then a street scene on the other side.
Sure.
It's incredibly versatile. There are some challenges in dealing with it. You have to be able to walk upstairs in a robe in the dark while it's turning
I
to make it
thought
up
about
in
that.
bed. To make it up in bed and be ready after the gravestone scene. You know, you got to be up there in bed waking up. And so
Sure.
that's tricky. I'm gonna have to start counting the number of stairs in that first flight before you turn and make the corner and go up 4 more stairs. But there's always one more step than I'm used to. I'm thinking, okay, I'm at the platform now, and no, kick that step, almost fall over in the dark. And so so it's a little tricky. And then once you get up on the platform, you have to gauge walking over to the bed as it's turning. And I can see the post. I can see my target. So it's not unsafe or anything. But by the same token, there's no guardrail there. So
Right.
you better make sure that's the bedpost.
I
So
was thinking a few times in a few of the scenes, like in the beginning too, it's turning and you're walking, and I was like, man, if that was me, I would be falling over so quickly.
well, it hasn't. I've never felt unsafe. I certainly haven't felt unsafe. I would have said something if I had. But it's just the machinations. But as far as the set go, I love the set, and it's wonderful to work with. Now, Sunday night, I think something was going on with the lights, and there were some lights happening that don't normally happen.
Okay.
But that's going to happen from time to time. It's live theater. What are you going to do?
Absolutely, you roll with the punches.
Absolutely. Oh, speaking of which, that was pretty funny. When was it? It was Saturday matinee, I think it was.
Okay.
Marley's up there yakking with me, telling me to get scared and everything, and the doors fly open, right, and the smoke billows in, and he says, "Oh, you hear those spirits out there? They're like me. They're all sad and everything, and blah 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 blah." Well, whoever the stagehand who pulls the cord that opens those doors gave it too hard of a yank, and one of the French doors stayed open and would not go closed. It would not close.
Oh, no.
So it kind of made me giggle when I'm talking. Now Marley's gone. I try and close the door twice. It swings back open, and I'm thinking, I'm not doing this again. That door is closed. In my mind, that door is closed. And so then when Christmas Past comes in, like 2 minutes later, I'm telling her, "Oh, my bed is so warm," even though I got the door open and the temperature is well below freezing. So technical things are going to happen. They're just going to happen, but you kind of roll with it and have fun.
I'd say it makes for a unique experience for everybody who attends it.
It's the beauty of live theater, man. I mean, you're never going to get that in a film because it will wind up on the editing floor.
100%.
I love it when things go wrong in theater.
Do you?
Because as an audience member, I'm just like, oh wow, how are they going to fix this?
I'll say that before I became a critic and stuff, I wasn't quite so aware of those things. But my partner, who's been in theater his entire life, was just like, "Oh, that was supposed to go off there. That was supposed to go off there," and I'm just like, "Really?" Because I didn't even notice. And now you start to notice some things like that.
Yeah, right. Little things.
So how do you feel like this show compares to like other shows that Meadow Brook has put on recently? Like the approach to it. I know you mentioned that Travis is very collaborative. Do you feel like that's very common for Meadow Brook?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Everyone understands what their role is in it, right? And so we're there to do the experimentation, find out what works, and then take the direction from the director. Director makes the final choice, and your job is to give him as many different choices as you can. You
Okay.
know, that's the way I see my job there. I try and give him as many different tacks, as many different approaches, as many different possibilities, because that's all acting is a series of choices.
Okay.
And in each situation, you have a number of different possibilities of what you're going to choose. How are you going to do this? And
Mhm.
so, the exploration of all those different possibilities, um, that's your job. And then he's going to say, this is the one that works best. And sometimes he'll tell you, here's why. Here's why it works
Okay.
best. You know, um,
That's awesome though.
uh, an example was saying Merry Christmas out the door after I realized that everything's going to be okay.
Okay.
After I wake up. Um, I tried a number of different approaches on that door, but and then finally the feedback came back that Travis said, what I love is when you get the idea about it and we don't know what you're going to do for a little moment, and then you do it and you come back and you see the joy of what you just did. The how fascinatingly fun it was to wish
Hmm.
someone a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year out your door. you know? And so he says, that's what I think we should go with. And I said, done. That's it. That's the choice. You know,
I mean,
you just try and make the best choice in each of those situations.
I love that, especially that whole scene. Like there was one part where you're kind of teasing Cratchit, and you turn around and you're like winking at everybody else, and I just thought
Yeah.
that was like I've never seen that. It reminded me. I don't mean this as a great compliment. It reminded me of Scrooge McDuck from the Disney one, because that's one of my favorite Christmas carols. And like
Oh,
you had a little bit of that Scrooge McDuck, in you when you did that. You're kind of winking and you're like holding your finger up to your lips. I was like, oh, that's such a great choice, because you get to play in that moment, and I love that.
yes, yes. And that's an opportunity to show the audience how much he's changed, how much he doesn't care about money anymore. He likes to play games now. He really likes to play games and have a laugh with people. And yeah, that I may have seen the Scrooge McDuck version when I was growing up, but I'm not sure. What I did see was Patrick Stewart do a
Okay.
one-man version on Broadway in New York when
Oh
I
my
was living in New
gosh.
York. And it was the last performance of the run. And I think I got the last ticket
Oh my
and sat in
goodness.
the back row. And that performance made an impression on me.
Okay.
And it was wild because about 15 years later, I was able to tell him how much of an impression that made on me at a gathering in Ann Arbor when the Royal Shakespeare Company was here touring,
Oh
and he
my
was with them.
goodness.
And so I got to say, yeah, I saw your one man Christmas Carol, and it was outstanding. It was just outstanding. And so, yeah, that one really made an impression on me. And I think I've seen parts of the George C. Scott film, and then I think I've seen parts of the original 1935. Now, you know the deal about the original 1935 film
I,
is that Tiny Tim was played by Terry Kilburn,
I
who
did not know that.
later became the artistic director at Meadow Brook.
Whoa, that's really cool.
Yeah, and I'm not sure about this, but I think it was his partner, Charles Nolte, that he said, you got to write Christmas Carol script. You got to write an adaptation that Meadowbrook can do, because it will be a great thing. And I think that's how it got started. Don't quote me on this. Travis may have different information on this, but that's the impression that I'm under. I know that Terry Kilburn played Tiny Tim in the 35 film.
That's really cool, though. Like, what a cool piece of history.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
So there's a lot of themes in this show, but which one seems to resonate the most with you?
Good overcomes evil.
Okay. That's a great one.
Good overcomes positive. The way I've always seen life is that there's energy flowing around this little rock, constantly a big, huge flow of energy. And the energy is both negative and positive. I have always tried to live my life to be a part of the positive energy part, because I realize that the negative energy exists. And so this is the victory of good energy over bad energy. And maybe you need to recognize that each of us has both possibilities. What's that that old Native American story where the young boy asks the tribe leader, his dad, he says, how are you? And he says, I have two wolves inside of me, one that is bad and one that is good. And they're constantly at battle. And the boy says, how do you know which one will win? And he says, the one that will win is the one that I feed.
Oh, I love that.
So I just try and be positive energy. And that's what makes the end of the show so fun, because being mean's not in my wheelhouse. Being mean is just something that I can do as an actor.
Sure.
When I get to hug, oh my gosh, Brian, the moment with Fred at the end of the play, it's like, it's the most meaningful aspect of all of those recoveries. Sure. You can give away money. You can give money to the charity men. You can tell Bob Cratchit that you're going to give him a raise and that you're going to hire his kid. But Fred's the only family he has.
Right.
And so, and Antonio and I have talked about this. We just hugged the hell out of each other at the end of that play, because it's like we wanted this so badly. And so it's a real fun part of the show to get to, while you're standing there. Yeah, while you're standing there watching the 20-minute Cratchit dinner at the beginning of 2, you think, oh, pretty soon I'm going to be able to bust out and be good again.
Is that scene 20 minutes? It doesn't feel like it's 20 minutes.
It's not 20 minutes. But it is one of those examples where I'm just standing there watching, and thank God they gave me the little trip around the table while Christmas Present is talking about, it's not a particularly handsome family or anything, but the blocking is I'm supposed to go around there and I'm supposed to look at Tiny Tim and really study him up close.
Sure.
And I hate to do it because I don't like to move on someone else's line, and David's up there talking, and I love hearing him talk. He's got such a great voice. And he's saying these beautiful words, and I hate to be moving. So I've been kind of like doing it more quickly. The last couple of goes at it, I've been trying to get that blocking out quickly so that I'm back to him by the end of the speech, so I can stand there and look at him and listen to him and not be moving when he's talking. I'm pretty self-conscious about that one little moment, but it needs to happen. I've got to get close to Tiny Tim, and that needs to take its effect with me before I can continue my recovery.
That is a beautiful scene. So, but I can understand that you want to respect the actor who's talking.
Yeah. And Dave, I'll tell you what, this guy, David, who's playing Christmas Present, is so fun to work with because he's super available. He gives you a lot of different reads. He'll give you different moments. He's not married to any one particular thing, but things that work, he recognizes things that work. And I was telling him the other day, I said, dude, I really have fun with you at the top of two. It's a good diversion from the pain of the end of the first act. Do you know what I mean? It's like
Absolutely.
I immediately am not sobbing. I'm not a mess anymore. This is something
Mm-hmm.
totally different. It's a totally different moment.
Right, because the Ghost of Christmas Present is more jolly. You know, he's got a
Oh
different
yeah.
energy.
He has a totally different energy. He shows you what it can be to be joyous
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and to appreciate and love things, and not take things for granted or hate them. You know, all these
Sure.
different things that he describes at the top of two. Look at all this. Look at all the lemons and oranges and all the people buying all these things. They're out there, just out there. Everybody's out there. Everyone has smiles. Blah 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 blah. And he basks in it, and that tells me life can be like that.
Mm-hmm.
Life can be like that. But the cool thing about present, and David really brings this out, he'll slam the door on you. If you're wrong about something, he will call you out on it too. And that's what I love about David's performance. It's a crack up. It's wonderful.
Well, thank you so much for giving me your time today, Phil. I really appreciate it.
Totally. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So Meadow Brook's A Christmas Carol runs from now until December 22nd. So there's plenty of time to see the show. So get your tickets before they sell out. Thank you again so much, Phil.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Brian.